Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Bleakheaven. I am your host, the Birdman, and today we have back with us Mr. Stanley K. Bostwick and Opey Taylor.
The voice of the dragon!
What's up, man? How's it going?
I'm eating fish and chips as much as possible, and I don't see a problem with it. How are you guys?
Well, we're doing all right. How have you been?
Same old same. Just trying to get a leg up in the world here, you know.
Aren't we all? That's a pretty cool name, Opey. How'd you get that name?
Okay, I'm glad you asked. My mother was obsessed with Don Knotts, if you remember him.
Oh, yeah.
Don Knotts, yeah. And so he was on a little show called The Andy Griffith Show. And Andy Griffith's son on there was Ron Howard. His name was Opey Taylor, because on the show his name is Andy Taylor. Like, when I was a kid, okay, so here's a backstory. I wanted to be a gangster rapper way back in the day, right? And so I would come up with all these, like, gangster nicknames and stuff, and people were like, nah, you're just Opey all the time. Like nah, you're Opey.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that works.
That was what I was putting money on. Stanley told me that it was a nickname, and I was like, does he look like Ron Howard? Is that how he got the name?
Does he look like he directed Apollo 13?
Right?
Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself? Tell us about your career. I, for one, am interested in hearing more about your acting career and how you got into that.
Okay, how do I start this? I was born a small child in the streets of Detroit. No, I'm just joking. Okay, so when I was a kid, I swear to God, this is how it happened. Larn Farr Park, right? I live in Ogden, Utah. There's a place here called Larn Farr Park, and there's a water park there and everything. And so this is how it happened. I showed up one day to go swimming, and they said, whoa, hey, if you guys want to swim today, you got to sign this release form and blah, blah, blah. And I was with my two sisters, and they were like, no way. And so they didn't sign it, and they just bounced. And I was like, I'm swimming. And so I signed the form, and I go in, lo and behold, they're filming The Sandlot for real. And I was like, oh my God, and so I'm in a scene, I swear to God, epic scene. I should have it framed. I always send it there, but I got a million screenshots on my phone of just me in the pool. Do you get what I mean? And so from there, I swear, it sounds like I'm making this up, but coincidentally, a week goes by maybe, and I was going to school out here. It's called Carl H. Taylor Elementary. And I show up to school one day, and they go, whoa. If you want to come to school this week, you have to sign a release form. And I'm like, what is going on? And so they filmed the movie called This Boy's Life with Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro. And I was like, what is going on lately, And so just as a kid, I was like, I run home and I tell my mom, I'm like, I want to be an actor. I already know what I'm going to do. I'm a buffoon all the time. So this is going to like channel this, And so I was in a bunch of Kmart ads as a kid and like some local commercials for like King's grocery store. Do you remember them?
Yeah,
King's grocery store and
you still got
a few
one
other
up in Idaho.
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. We were watching Napoleon Dynamite last night, and I'm telling the kids, I was like, "That's King's. That used to be in North Ogden," and you're like, "Whatever." Yeah. And so it just kind of fell into my lap a little bit. I hate to even say it like that because it's like, oh, you didn't have to struggle for it, but I do a lot of extra work. I got a couple contracts with like Hallmark and stuff like that, but it's not as cool as it sounds.
Well, it's pretty cool that you were in Sandlot. That was one of my favorite movies growing up. So that's.
Oh yeah, I swear.
I did not see where that was going. Like when you brought up the whole swimming pool, I was gonna make a joke about like some really hot lifeguard trying to give you mouth-to-mouth CPR, but like,
exactly.
But I didn't really expect that.
Little do you know. Yeah, exactly.
Any notable works? Like, how far have you gotten into acting?
Okay, so how do I put this delicately? That was in my childhood, and my childhood was all filled with a bunch of auditions and ads and interviews and all this stuff. And then when I became an adolescent, I had this idea in my head that I wanted to be a criminal, and I was terrible at it, so I got in trouble a lot. So I got locked up a little bit as a kid, went through a few programs and stuff like that, and then never really even looked back at it. Honest to God, this sounds dumb as hell because it is, but it slipped my mind that I was even like a childhood actor. Do you get what I mean? Yeah. I was just like, oh man, my life sucks. I'm a criminal now and I'm on probation and that's what I'm doing with my life. And then once I was done with all that, like when I became an adult, I was like, you know what's crazy is I was a childhood actor. I started to audition again. And so I got into theater. I've been in a few, not Broadway plays, but like a few local playhouse plays. I do a lot of Shakespeare. We did To Kill a Mockingbird, Death of a Salesman, stuff like just the standard classic stuff you're always forced to do. And then I got a big break when I was, there's a movie called The World's Fastest Indian with Anthony Hopkins. And it was random. I was on a whole different movie set for something like stupid. And I was like some college guy where I was just supposed to go, oh, hey, bro, shred the gnar, or something like that. You know what I mean? And so at the time, I was a real big drinker. I mean, that's part of my past too. But like, and so I got way too wasted. And like, I was saying all the wrong lines. And this guy was just like, I love this kid. And he goes, I got a job for you. And I was like, whatever, man. And like a week goes by and he calls me and he's like, I need you down in St. George in like a week. And I was like, oh, all right. And so I just go down there like half knowing what's going on, but like still kind of confused. Like, what did I sign myself up for? And I get off the bus there down in St. George and they greet me and I go back to the hotel and they're like, oh, Anthony Hopkins is in the hotel right next to yours and you have an adjoining door, but don't bother him. And I was like, I'm going to bother this guy.
Of course. Well, you don't want to get eaten though. This is the first thing that would cross my mind.
Exactly. Yeah, that was a big one. World's Fastest Indian, that was probably the biggest one I did. But the whole time I was so scared to get kicked off of the set because I was like fanboying the whole time. I'm like, this is Dr. Lecter. And he's right here, man. And like, I'm taking all these Instagram videos and stuff. And they're like, dude, put your phone away. The whole time.
That's so cool.
Well, I'm actually really glad your life of crime didn't work out because you did a fantastic job as the dragon. Thanks again for doing that on such short notice.
Oh, no, thank you guys. You have no idea, but it's been my lifelong fantasy to become a cartoon of some sort or another. And I was like, that's me. That's what that's mine. I'm taking that.
Well, we're excited to keep moving forward on it. I think I was telling you we have an animated show planned as soon as funding comes our way.
Absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about the experience playing the dragon for us and what you think of the character and what it was like seeing that in our video that actually garnered over 2,000 views, which I was really surprised about.
I love it. What am I gonna? How do I put this? My wife tells me I don't know how deep my voice is. Do you get what I mean? And so she's always like, why don't you like use that kind of thing? And so that was like the first chance that I had to actually kind of play with that a little bit. And I don't know if you've ever done any voice acting. Like voice control is like the hardest thing in the world. It's not just like talking, you know what I mean? And so, but I loved it because it gave me something to. The background he gave me that he's like a underground boss. You know what I mean? I love that. That's right up my alley. That's my whole thing. I love that Mephistopheles is in the comic and he's like not human, but the dragon is, I'm assuming. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm excited to see what unfolds in Bleakhaven, actually. So to be honest, when you offered me the position, I was like, hell yeah, I'm going to jump all over this. And then you actually sent me the comic and I started reading it and I was like, this is good. It's not just like, I would say, oh, it's good. No, but this is great. Like, this is actual material. I love it to death. It's something I can really get behind. I'm glad I'm part of it, to be honest with you. Like, whether or not this, you know what I mean? I know that Bleakhaven is going to take off and actually become something. And even if anything ever happens, I always have that piece of that to be like, I was the dragon. You know what I mean?
Bleakhaven was like my brainchild, but obviously I'm not the only one that's been doing it. So it's been interesting to see. It's really hard for me to tell when it's past the, let's put that on the fridge phase and it's actually turning into something,
Right. I get you. After you have piles of paperwork in your house over a span of years and you're like, I should probably do something with this at some point.
It's been going. We're happy to have you on the team and in the community.
I sure am proud of my Bleakhaven comic book just sitting there on the wall with everybody's signature on it.
Yep. We've got more coming too. The second, it's going to be, the next one's going to be another flip book. 3 and 4 are coming out this summer. Well, and I'm really glad you liked the comic too, because I remember sitting there thinking, like, after I sent you the book, you had already done the voiceover for the dragon. And I'm like, sure. I sent it to you and I'm like, what if he just doesn't like the comic? Like, you're sitting there doing the voice acting, promoting it. And I'm like, what if he's like, oh, this is just garbage, What did I do?
What have I done? That's what I mean. Like, it was refreshing to actually get the copy and be like, okay, I'm glad I put myself into something I actually believe in, not just for the,
I also want to point out you took direction really well, because I know that we didn't actually talk on the phone or anything. I just sent you like, here's his personality, this is his background, just do what you can do, Knocked it out of the park. I was really impressed with your ability to take that direction.
Yeah, no, thank you. It helps when I have a good director.
I do my best.
Do you have any methods to like how you do your acting?
I'm glad you asked. Okay. So, no.
All right, podcast over.
We did it.
I've always been told that I'm kind of I blow things out of proportion, drama queen, all that stuff. You know what I mean? And I am, and I know that I am. I boast. I catch myself monologuing all the time to my own family. You know what I mean? In this house, we only watch movies with animals who play sports in them. Cue up Air Bud 3. But so I actually, when I go in there and I just ask them, really depends on the scene. And I'm like, well, is there, honestly, I'm just waiting for a role where I can just like freak out and just like do what I want to do. You know what I mean? But normally it's just taking direction, like you said, just trying to channel what anybody wants you to do, to be honest with you, and try to not sound like you're just reading it off of a script. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you have to put that emotion into it,
And that's one of the things that I was impressed with you, because initially I contacted you for a different role. We put a short film in the process of pre-production, and it just hit so many road bumps for obvious reasons last year. Sure. And I really saw that in the reel you sent me, because I know I posted an ad or whatever for it. You make it seem natural, and that's what I was really drawn to when I saw your initial acting pieces. And it pulls through with the dragon piece too. It doesn't sound like you're reading a script. It sounds like you're just talking.
Actually, no.
That's a really difficult art to pull off.
Oh, thank you guys. I really appreciate it.
I mean, I watched that Kickstarter video at least 5 or 6 times.
Are you a why we're up over 2,000?
I mean, yeah, I'm the 2,000 fighting 2,000, view. Like, I was all like, see, this is how you do it. If I was gonna do it, this is exactly how I would have done it.
Yeah, I got excited. I got kicked off of Facebook. I got a 30-day ban because I kept sharing that video too much, like in groups, in everything. I was just like, oh, have you seen this though? Bam! Like all the time. And people were just like, you're spamming us now. You can't keep doing that. I was excited. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm flattered you got banned over us.
Yeah, no kidding.
I love it.
Well, we're excited to keep working with you too. Like I said, we got that short film that's still coming, live action short film, which is basically going to be another one of these issues of Welcome to Bleakhaven, but in a live action. We don't need CGI or whatever. The things that happen are just people.
I can't wait for that.
That's going to be fun. And as the voice of the dragon, we've got a lot of audio dramas as well. I don't know if you knew that, but on YouTube we have one right now that's called The Tome of Daniel Blake, which is kind of an audio book / audio drama. And then we're going to have another one this summer, and both are set in Bleakhaven, so you may have a chance to pop up there too.
Oh, I'm all about it. I love it. Anything I can get in, anything I can do that's Bleakhaven related, I'm about it. Let's do it.
No kidding, man. I want to just hear more of your I want to hear a big monologue from the dragon, man. That's all I want.
I'm down. Let's do that, Stanley.
Let's do it. So, Opey, tell us more about the event. Get people excited.
All right. So here in about 2 weeks, we have, I don't know how to even describe the event. It's a live event. We're going to have bands, comedian. We are hoping on a magician. We don't know yet. I know this magician. He's a good friend of mine. He's incredible. Funny little backstory. So he's used to doing like kids' birthdays and stuff like that. And so I throw a lot of adult, events at bars and clubs and stuff. And so we get him to the bar to do his little magic tricks, and it's in front of a bunch of drunk people, And so he's doing these tricks, and people are like, "Shut the F up, no effing way!" Like screaming, and he's just like, "Oh my God." And so I don't know if I scared him away a little bit or what, but he's a little bit hesitant.
One of our backers that's part of the Bleakhaven team, I invited him to it, and I told him that there might be a magician. He's like, "If the magician comes, I'll go."
That's That's right. See, that's exactly what I thought too. When you're like, yeah, we're gonna have live bands and we're gonna have a comedian. I was like, oh, and then you're like a magician. I'm like, I'm down.
A magician. You gotta have
been there. I know. Magician sells everyone. I swear to God, that's just the thing.
I'm really excited to see this event though, because it's something that's going to be more experimental. Because we've done a few events in the past, but those are like go sit at a comic book shop and do some signings and talk to people about the book. So I'm excited to see. We're going to kind of do that kind of stuff because I understand we have a booth there too. There'll be other artists there, and we'll be having interviews, and it just seems like it's going to be a lot of fun, something a little bit more experimental, something a little bit where we can just kind of relax and enjoy the evening.
Right. My goal is to see how this first event goes and learn what we can from it and actually set up another one to make it better. Because like you said, all I've ever seen with any kind of artists, illustration, comic books, anything, like you said, you just sit in a bookstore and maybe they come by, maybe they don't, but this way I'm thinking, well, you got people who are going to this nightclub anyway, so hopefully, you know what I mean? And plus, I got some musicians who are promoting the show just because it's, they're able to perform and stuff like that. And like you said, I got other artists there as well. So I really think it's going to be a really good thing, honest to God. I've worked with this club before. I've worked with all these artists before. They're a lot of my favorite people. It's going to be beautiful. I really have a good feeling about this.
I do too. I think it's, like I said, I think it's just going to be fun. It's going to be something a little bit more exciting, a little bit more live entertainment, a magician maybe.
Yeah. Maybe.
Maybe. I know, I'm excited to do more of these. I think that this will be fun, even if it's a disaster. I don't know what a disaster would look like with something like this, but even if it is, we could still move on and do some more stuff like it.
Exactly. I'm glad that we all have that understanding a little bit. So there's a little bit of pressure off of it where it's not like, if we don't kill it, then it's just over, but I really do think we're going to kill it.
I think it's just going to be a fun event too. I mean, like it's nice to blow off steam, go and listen to some music and, some funny comedians. I think it's a 21 and above.
Yeah, it's a 21 above event. Yeah.
I was afraid of that too. I don't know I know there are some all age venues out there and stuff like that, but I mean, do you have a younger crowd that reads Bleakhaven?
We have some younger kids. Obviously, this first book is not meant for children. It's meant for like teenagers and some people who read it that are under 21. But mostly it's the older people. It's meant for older teens and adults. And we do have a young adult title coming because Bleakhaven is a comic book company, so we have a bunch of different titles coming. So this Welcome to Bleakhaven is the first one, and then my wife Cassandra is making a book called Marks, which is about she's a sharpshooter assassin sort of character, a little less mystical, a little bit more science-based, science fiction. We have another title being written by a friend of mine called Credence, which is on the more mystical side. And it's about like these two kids who go to scout camp and then their leader gets turned into a monster and they have to go with a Mothman to save him. So I'm not opposed to having adult-oriented, events. We want to kind of have something for everybody.
Well, then maybe we can shoot for an all-age event in the future. Then I'm absolutely open to that.
I'm not sure what the timeline looks like on that yet. Our Kickstarter is still up, but it looks like it's stagnating a little bit. So if that doesn't pull through, it'll be probably late this year, early next year before we can get that book out.
In other words, people at home, go onto the Kickstarter and donate some money, you cheap jerks. No, I'm just kidding. But I think the event's going to be great.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
You were telling me a little bit about these artists, and I know one of them is doing some Bleakhaven art. I think a couple of them are, but I know one is doing some specific art with Bleakhaven characters and stuff like that. And I'm really excited to see what he comes up with.
That's Tank Barrett. He's one of my favorite people. I use him for everything. He's my artist. I use him for anything I could tell him. His style of art isn't even the style of art that he does for me. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
And so he goes out of his way just specifically, and he knocks it out of the park. And so I always look at artists who can do different styles of stuff and actually be great at them versus what they're used to. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah. And so he's a versatile artist. obviously I work with a lot of artists, so
Sure.
I love seeing art. I love seeing the different interpretations of the characters, because that's one thing that I really like doing as editor-in-chief, is saying, here's the important stuff, now you take the rest and use your own creativity and your own imagination to fill in the blanks.
Right.
And that's been so much fun to see these different versions, because we have Skullivan, obviously the first character in the first comic book. Several different artists draw them. I even had a kid draw some fan art of the Skullivan for me, and that was really cool. And it's just really cool to see all these different interpretations of the characters.
Well, that's when you're making some headway, is when you start getting people to not so much rip off your idea, but like, pay honor and homage to you in their art and stuff like that. That's flattery.
Oh, same here. I'm really excited to see where all this goes.
Heck yeah.
So do you have any any projects you want to tell anybody at home about? Like any future projects that you're doing?
I do. I have a book series I'm writing called Welcome Home. I hate to jump in on the whole zombie end of the world apocalypse stuff, but I have a real unique take on the book series that I'm writing. It's about this guy. His name's Charles Kingston Alabaster. He's in prison when the world ends. He was set up to be put in prison. Originally, he was the mattress store that's always going out of business that never actually goes out of business. He owns that place. It's him. So he gets set up by his competitor to be placed in prison. While he's in prison, the world ends and he actually takes over the prison and thus the surrounding community, stuff like that. It's freaking awesome. I'm trying to get it typed out as fast as possible to actually get copies out to people, but I didn't have a computer for the longest time, so I have like stacks of paper, same thing, just millions of notebooks around here, just handwritten full of stories. I just can't get it out fast enough, But yeah, so by the end of the month, hopefully I'll have the first book typed up and written and ready to get out there. So
that'll be awesome. Yeah. Well, you have to let us read it. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, no kidding. I
really love it for you two, actually. Yeah.
I mean, you'll probably get some positive feedback from me, but I mean, if you're looking for actual feedback, you'll just have to have me read it, not me. The man's a regular Perry White. What can I say?
A little bit. I don't know. I tend to rip things apart fairly consistently when other people ask me. That's why I don't generally tend to offer up my editing services, because I'll be like, oh, this is all wrong. You got to change this. You got to condense this. You got to do that. And people don't tend to like that sometimes. So, but at least, I'll be honest.
I don't know. Critiquing is where it's at. I mean, you can't, not everybody can like the same thing, what I mean?
And it's super important to learn how to take critiques. I mean, and that's something, I went to film school, so that's something
nice.
Constantly I saw a lot of people go in and everybody's like, oh, well, you got to change this, you got to change it, this doesn't really work. And they're like, no, you just don't understand it.
Yeah, you don't see my vision.
Yeah, exactly. You don't understand my vision. And I vowed to never really be one of those people, so I try to take all criticism as best I can. Sometimes people really don't understand what I'm doing. Sometimes people have valid critiques and they actually make me see how I can make my work better. Even in this first comic book, if it wasn't already printed, I probably would go back and do some editing, but art's never really finished. So
that's you can't rush art,
Yeah. And we did have some pretty harsh critiques of the book. I remember one person just kind of laid into it for 20 minutes. I went to dinner with a friend and he's like, yeah, I read the book. And then for 20 minutes, he explained why it was horrible.
Glad you liked it.
And I'm like, awesome. Like,
it's a valued friend right there.
I mean, I appreciated it because it was honest, and in his opinion, it needed to be different. I disagreed with his opinion. I think he didn't understand my vision. But I think to an extent he really didn't understand what I was trying to do, and I saw where he was coming from, and I really appreciated his feedback, and he's been a huge supporter of Bleakhaven thus far, and I appreciate his support and his honest feedback.
If you're not rifling some feathers, though, you're not really pointing in the right direction. So.
Yeah.
It's true, because I mean, who wants to read the same thing that's been put out every time? You know, it's got to be a little.
Well, yeah,
You gotta have some kind of controversy, you know.
I'm not here to make other people happy. I know I'm not going to please everybody.
Sure.
I sort of take Stan Lee's approach when it comes to writing comic books. Stan Lee, when he was asked about the audience, like, what audience are you writing for? He would say, I write things that I like. And you know, if you write something you like, somebody else is going to like it. So I kind of took that to heart, and I'm my own audience here. So I'm just, and that's what Bleakhaven was born out of, is I just took all this stuff I like I'm really into the looking into the occult stuff. I think it's fun and interesting to think about mystical stuff. I like gangster movies. I like superheroes. I like all these different, you know, supernatural and unnatural and human things. And I kind of just took all the pieces I liked and shaped them and put them all together.
That's how you got to do it. If you're not doing something you love, no one else is going to love what you're doing, you know.
Like I said, who wants to read one thing? You know, that's the one thing that I enjoy so much about Bleakhaven, is that it's different genres of different things. You know, you're not just reading the same thing over and over.
Right.
You're
it's not just some kind of vampire comic. It's not just, that's what I liked about it too.
It's not,
you don't know exactly
versions of Bram Stoker, you know.
Yeah, exactly. You don't know exactly. It's kind of unsettling, which I like, because it's like, what is going on here, you know? Because there are actual humans. Like I said, I love that Mephistopheles is in it, and he's like a god in some, you know, in some mystical cultures and stuff like that. And then there's Skolivin, who upon first look you think he's like going to be some kind of villain, then you find out, oh no, he's not a bad guy at all. I like this dude, you know.
Not like reading Spider-Man. Like, you've read millions of different versions of Spider-Man, and you know what the story's going to be, or you can kind of see what the story is going to be. But with like Bleakhaven,
exactly, it's fresh.
And that's something that I've really tried to push. Like, I didn't really I didn't set out to be unique. I set out to do my own thing, and it turned unique. But that's something I'm really excited for in the future, in getting more media out there and getting more stuff. When you go watch a comic book movie, when you're as big as a nerd as I am, you know, like, oh, that's a bad guy, you know, and they try to do the twist later, and you basically know what's going to happen because you read the comic books, you read stuff. There's twists and turns, but it's still just another version of the characters. And that's what I'm excited about. Bleakhaven is, you don't really know where it's going to go. I tried to set up these rules and systems in place. It really doesn't snap into place for people until, you know, you get enough of it and you kind of understand what's happening.
All fresh characters, all fresh ideas. I love it.
It's great. I'm excited. And the monsters too. I love vampires and werewolves and zombies as much as the next guy, but we all know how to kill them. We all know how to avoid them.
We all know how to date them.
Yeah, it's true. Now we know how to date all of those things.
Seduce all of them.
So I wanted to play around with monsters. There's so many monsters in folklore that I think are so interesting that have no pop culture equivalent. And then there's monsters I just made up. And I think that brings more uniqueness in too, because I personally, when I watch a zombie movie, I'm not really scared anymore. I mean, sometimes it gets me. Sometimes they do. Like I watched Primal recently.
Like the
guy who did Samurai Jack. He did an
Oh, you're talking about the animated.
Yeah, the animated
I watched
Primal.
that too. That is awesome.
So there's a zombie episode in that, and that got me. That was like the first zombie thing in a long time that really made me uncomfortable.
I'm with you on that. I always wondered watching these zombie movies. I'm like, is there ever gonna be like a zombie movie flick, anything where the people in it are go, you know what? We know that these are zombies and we know how to kill them. Everything is fine. We've had several movies about this for several years. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're all prepared for it at this point.
We know exactly what.
I feel like Zombieland probably hits that on the
yeah. And that's why I kind of want to stray away from monsters. Like I have zombies, I have vampires, but I try to put a unique twist on them. Like there's a vampire that's going to pop up later that's called a Manananggal. And a Manananggal is a Filipino vampire. At night, it separates its torso from its legs and flies off to go eat. And then it comes back and reforms into a humanoid. I personally think it's scarier when you don't know the monsters and you have to learn the rules of the monsters with the character.
Exactly. I agree with you on that.
that's what's so great about Bleakhaven. Like, I have learned more about monsters than like I think I've ever learned about anything. Like, I've seen so many of these different monsters explained. Like, even the spider wolf. Like, I think the spider wolf is dope.
Yeah.
It'd probably suck to feed, but yeah.
I wouldn't hang around spider wolves. That's personally.
I would take them up to Alaska.
I mean, they can be trained, so.
If you could train them to hunt, yeah, you got a good hunting dog on your hand.
Get like 13 of them or so. You could get a dog sled. You know,
see, the problem with you could go up mountains real easy with spider wolves.
Oh, really?
They climb on walls.
Dude, see, all the more reason to have a dog sled hooked onto one of these.
I don't know
things.
about hunting though, because then when they have poison like spiders, so I don't want you. I don't want to poison your food.
It's like hunting something and then like leaving the bullets in something you've hunted. You know, you're gonna eat more lead than you are gonna eat that. It sounds great. I'm looking forward to seeing more monsters.
There's always more monsters to come. That's what our 2 audio dramas really are about, is monsters. That's what this first one, it's called The Tome of Daniel Blake. It's got, I don't know, how would you explain it?
How would I explain it? I'd explain it as this guy and his companion,
his like secretary, but they've got like a Sherlock and Watson sort of relationship.
Yeah, like going against just random, like I think he purposely seeks things out that like he doesn't really know what it is, but I don't think he really knows it's a monster when he gets to the monster.
That's one of the things with Daniel, is that's the way I write him, and sometimes it's frustrating because he always wants to like give these creatures the benefit of the doubt. He's like, he might be misunderstood, let's try to talk to you, and then they try to eat him.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go ahead and just go reason with this spider wolf, and you know, hopefully it won't eat my face.
Eventually he'll be right though.
True.
We can only hope, right? Like, all roads lead to that inevitable conclusion.
Or death.
Or death.
One of those two.
It's a numbers game.
That's what the companion's for. You throw her out first, and then it's good.
She's important too. We'd go insane without her. So yeah, that's got all sorts of monsters and all sorts of crazy stuff.
It's a good listen. I mean, there's only 2 episodes out.
Yeah, only 2 episodes so far.
But it is a good listen. Like, the entire production of it's really great. I mean, even the voice acting's really great.
So Opie, what it is a police officer in Bleakhaven finds a journal from evidence, and he takes it home, and it's like 100 years old, and he starts reading the journal. So that's why it's kind of an audiobook. So there's kind of these audio drama elements of him like talking at the beginning and the end, and then he just reads through a journal entry.
I need to get over there and familiarize myself with those, actually.
It's all on YouTube, man. Everything's on YouTube. The wonderful world of YouTube.
Literally everything.
And so, yeah, we have 2 episodes of that. The first one was a little rocky. We were finding our place. But the second one, I think we got pretty well.
I mean, it's a standard pilot as far as I'm concerned. You know, as soon as you get to the second episode, it's pretty great. I mean,
that's good.
It's getting better and better with each episode.
And we do have the 3rd episode coming out this month.
What?
Pretty good. Yeah.
I'm looking
at least if everything goes according to plan, it's hard to tell.
Yeah, exactly. Here at Bleakhaven, we believe in set dates.
I mean, I would believe in set dates if I could pay to get those dates set.
Right.
But we're moving along.
And the circle is now complete. Like I said, people at home, get on Bleakhaven and donate.
Do you have any questions for us, Opie?
What is the capital of North Dakota?
I don't know.
Of North Dakota.
Bam! I have no idea either. I really want to help you guys promote this. Once I get off my 30-day ban from Facebook, I'll jump on it. I promise you guys will see a jump in. What was I going to say? A jump in my enthusiasm there. It's just kind of hard with social media being like the biggest thing. I hate that about the future that we live in. Can I tell you guys that I hate social media so bad? It's because if you can't master it, you really can't do anything anymore. And it's kind of sucks, you know, but I can't wait to start diving in and actually getting some videos done and sharing them and helping you guys promote this thing.
Excited. Thanks again for being on the team. We appreciate it. And thanks again for
thank you guys. It's an honor, man.
I thoroughly enjoy talking to everybody who's involved with Bleakhaven. Or I just enjoy talking to people, period. So it's really great. I don't know. I definitely got some insight. Thought your stories, especially the Sandlot story, was pretty cool.
Thanks, man.
When they sent you to St. George, I was waiting for you to be like, and then I was on the set of High School Musical.
Oh, funny story about that.
Oh, story time. Let's hear.
So, like 3 years ago, I got a role as it was just sent to my email, and it was / janitor, and I was like, they trying to hire me to be a janitor of this thing, you know? And so I show up to the thing, and they give me the custodian's uniform and everything, and so it's High School Musical 2 or 3 or whatever they have going on now, but I'm a janitor in High School Musical also.
Nice.
Awesome.
Man, the hits just keep on coming today.
I have never seen High School Musical, and I was in the demographic.
Not missing out on much, man.
Yeah.
I know. But I did know in high school, I had one of my best friends. He moved to my high school his senior year, and his previous high school was where they filmed the first High School Musical.
Yeah.
And as soon as we found out about that, everybody made fun of him for it. And he's like, nothing you guys say will be as bad as what we say about our own school.
Exactly. Funny story, real quick, and then I'll last one, and then I'll leave you guys. I got the family rolling in here. So I'm on this Greyhound headed to, I believe it was Idaho one time, to be an extra in a film. And the guys, they smoked a bit of pot, they drunk and stuff, and they're like, come hang out with us. And I was like, I don't do that stuff. You know, they knew I was from Utah and all this stuff, and they go, are you from that one place on Footloose where nobody's even allowed to dance? And I was like, yeah, actually.
That's what it's like living in the entire state of Utah.
Okay, I better get to dinner before I get the whole family yelling at me. But it's been fun. Thank you guys so much. I'd love to do this again with you. I really would.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Looking forward to the event. Thanks again for helping us organize that.
No, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Anytime. Come back. Visit us again.
All right. Much love, you guys.